As you can see here, we are using the brand new Vargo-S inside of Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies. This is the newest assault rifle in the game. We have it diamond over on MP. We're going to be testing it out today inside of Zombies to see if this thing is any good. This thing is insanely overpowered inside of multiplayer, so I'm very interested to see if maybe, you know, in Zombies this is also the new best AR. We did this with the Blixen, the H4 Blixen I think it was called, and that thing was so dang good. So we're going to be trying that out with this. We'll have the whole attachment list coming up at the end of this video. Let's test it out. Got the zombies early. It shoots quick. I mean, yeah, we're looking at 101 damage, which I mean, pretty standard this early on. We're going to go ahead and turn on the Rampage Inducer for the memes. Let's go ahead and get that started here. So, of course, we're also going to be taking this up against the Stormkriegers and up against Zabala. This thing, I mean, so far pretty good. Again, round 2, so take it with a grain of salt. The ammo that we have on here is a nice little 60-round mag, which is fantastic. Now, my favorite part to do in these videos is actually test the weapon with insta-kill, and it looks like, yeah, this thing is an instant kill, one shot, one kill when you have insta kill turned on, which is really good compared to some of the other weapons in the game.
Bruh.
So we have this thing on round 7, unpack-a-punched, and I don't know, it does feel a tad bit weak, kind of like the H4 Blixen did to start. But again, the Blixen ended up being really good towards the end, so I don't know how we're feeling about this thing. But so far, this thing isn't as impressive as I had hoped. Of course, again, it is unpack-a-punch, and one of my favorite parts about these videos is actually testing them out when they get pack-a-punch. So obviously, this is called the Vargo-S Vanguard pack-a-punch. Let's take a look at how the camo looks on it and what this is called. We are looking at the Dragon's Bane. I mean, that's a good name for it, honestly. I think that is a good name for this weapon when it's pack-a-punch. And the pack-a-punch camo, I mean, obviously gets rid of the diamond that we have on there for multiplayer. But, I mean, it's a good-looking camo. It has really good coverage on this weapon, especially. I think the way that it looks on the drum mags is pretty fire. Yeah, pretty much every part of this weapon is covered. That's actually, they did a great job with that. They did a really good job. Let's see how much damage we're doing with this thing. And we're up to 291 for a headshot, which, of course, is going to be fine on round 8 or 9. But let's wait until we get into some later rounds and see. So we have the Vargo-S at tier 2 pack-a-punch, and we also have tier 2 of diabolical damage as well as critical expertise. So honestly, this thing's a little bit better than it was, but so far I'm not all that impressed. We are going to be getting a Zabala in next round. Let's see what we're doing here. We're doing about 873 in terms of damage, which is fine, but not like all that special. And the accuracy is kind of tough with this thing as well once you get the higher fire rate on there. Nothing good from our Covenants here. So we're going to get Zabala this round. Also, it's interesting that this is the biggest mag that you can put on this thing in the game. And it starts at 60. It's only up to 75, which seems really low that you only get 15 more shots. We have Zabala here. We're going to go ahead and get to the end of the round and then test this thing out against her. So obviously, in terms of Zabala the Deceiver, this is going to be a little different than how we've had it in the past, because she definitely got nerfed pretty heavily with Season 4 Reloaded, so she can't take an immune stage. So once she pops out here again, we're going to go ahead and try this against her. And, I mean, okay, so that took out her mask pretty quick there. Okay. I might have to test that with, like, the Blixen or something just to see. But that actually took her out incredibly fast. Maybe higher round she gets a little bit more difficult. But even though I stopped shooting just because I'm so used to her having an immune phase, we still took her out pretty quick. We're going to wait to see what happens when we get a Stormkrieger in here. Obviously, those guys have not changed at all. So that'll kind of give us a better feel of how good this weapon is compared to others. So we have Zabala in here again. We're going to go a little bit balls to the wall here. We're going to go ahead and stand our ground. We have Unholy Ground and okay. All right, that took her out pretty quick. Let's see what happens if we just throw this decoy over there and stand our ground with Unholy Ground and just see how many of these zombies we can take out. This thing, okay, so with purple Unholy Ground, along with like critical expertise, you're doing all right. You're going to be doing all right if you're using something like Unholy Ground and standing still. Of course, especially in later rounds, that's not nearly as possible. But if you are the type of player who's going to be standing at one spot a lot and not running around and shooting the zombies, then Unholy Ground is going to be a really good choice for you. So with tier 4 diabolical damage and Unholy Ground, we're doing 1,932 damage with a headshot to zombies, which is pretty dang good. Again, if that's not your playstyle, I totally understand. Maybe you can use Always Done Swiftly or something like that, the counter of Unholy Ground. But honestly, okay, so this thing isn't terrible, but it really does rely on you getting the correct Covenants. We also did just get our first Sturmkrieger into the map. I just heard him spawn He's way out there. We'll give him a second. So we only have the Sturmkrieger left here. We're gonna name him Jeff. This is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
And we're gonna see what we can do to Jeff with the Vargo-S Unholy Ground and tier 4 diabolical damage here. Let Jeff take one more nice little shot at us. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Yep. All right, here we go. I mean, I have seen worse, but I've also seen better with these kind of covenants against the Sturmkrieger. So again, it's not terrible, but it's not too bad. So now we have this bad boy up to tier 3 Pack-a-Punch, and honestly, again, it's fine, but it's not the greatest weapon I've ever used, especially in a pinch. I think that this thing, especially going really high rounds, like if you're trying to high round with this thing, you're gonna be in for some trouble. This thing isn't the greatest I've ever seen. It's kind of fun to use, though. It is pretty quick to shoot. And, I mean, it kind of looks like a wiener if you look at it just right. For the speciometer, I'm going to say that this is a 6.5 out of 10 on the speciometer. It's kind of mid-grade. I would have rated the H4 Blixen probably like a, oh gosh, like an 8, 8.5. This thing is definitely lower. It's going to be a 6.5 from me on the Vargo-S. And honestly, a 6.5 is nothing to sneeze at, because there are definitely some weapons in this game that are a hell of a lot worse than that. But realistically, the Vargo-S just really didn't do it for me, which is super surprising because it was so good in multiplayer. In terms of the attachments on this thing, I would honestly probably lean a little bit more towards something that gave it a little bit less recoil. It did feel kind of hard to control, but as you can see, we have the recoil booster, and for the barrel, we have the Gabrielion LW 298mm. We have the slate reflector as always. The stock, we have the Gabrielion LP 33. For the rear grip, we have the granular grip. For the magazine, we had the 60 round mag, which is the biggest this weapon comes with. And then for the underbarrel, we did have the M3 ready grip. Go ahead and check this weapon out just for fun. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.